Hello, my name is Jessica Stoyko, and I'm a second-year master's student of geography. I'm honored to present to the Graduate Research Forum my current thesis research about the willingness of private residents to plant pollinator beneficial plants. We know that pollinators provide needed ecosystem services, and private yards could provide floral and nesting resources for these pollinators, but we do not know how willing private citizens are to plant pollinator beneficial plants and what motivates them to plant or not to plant. That is the question, especially since most of these native pollinator plants are not traditionally found in residential gardens. I will examine which of three theories of how socio-ecological systems function best explains willingness to plant pollinator beneficial plants. Is it lifestyle, income, or population density? Lifestyle behaviors can be influenced by neighborhood norms reflected in the conformity of a specific yard type. Income can influence management decisions as higher income residents have more disposable income to purchase supplies/services for yard management. Finally, less dense population and housing in neighborhoods will have more green space, thus more potential space for plants other than lawns. I predict that lifestyle will be the best predictor of willingness to plant these plants, followed by income and then population density. With the help of two undergraduate students, I dropped off surveys which asked residents about demographic characteristics such as income, age, whether or not children are in the home, etc. Residents were also asked about specific pollinator beneficial plant species and whether or not they like their appearance. The survey instrument also asked if residents treated front yards differently than backyards. Social norms regarding yard appearance and care were gauged on a 5-point Likert scale, and other questions were asked, such as whether or not the residents would like to see more of specific pollinators in their yards, or whether or not they see their yards as a reflection of themselves. Our study area comprised of two counties in Ohio, Darke and Miami. These counties have a wide range of population density and urbanization level. A stratified random selection of 200 parcels out of 51,237 will share the following characteristics. Based on classification by the county auditor as residential, occupied, and between 0 and 30 acres. In addition to parcel size, parcel value would be used as a stratus and a proxy for household income. An aerial photo of each property and its parcel boundary was printed and included in the survey packet so that residents could draw where and how much, if any, of the pollinator beneficial plants shown in the survey they would be willing to plant in the following year on their property. Residents were contacted up to 4 times following the methods of Dillman et al. To increase response rates. Our response rate was 57%. Residents were asked whether or not purple coneflower, wildflower prairie, or common milkweed were present on their property already. Pictures and scientific names were provided on the survey so as to help residents identify the plants. As you can see, over 50%, and in the case of common milkweed, over 60% of residents do not already have these pollinator beneficial plants on their properties, which means we have a lot of room to work with. More residents had already voluntarily planted purple coneflower than wildflower prairie and common milkweed. Residents showed less willingness to plant milkweed overall than purple coneflower and wildflower prairie. A smaller but still substantial portion of residents say the plants are present because they were already planted on the property when they moved in, this time with more common milkweed than wildflower prairie and purple coneflower following that. From the returned maps, we calculated the size of pollinator beneficial plant patches people drew on the maps of their properties. Overall, wildflower prairie had the highest range and average in square meters for proposed plantings compared to both purple coneflower and common milkweed. However, each measurement signifies a separate patch, so we do not yet know whether or not parcel size is a good indicator of willingness to plant more of them. A repeat pattern is less willingness to designate more green space to common milkweed. Residents were mainly neutral or against adding pollinator plants in the next year. A similar pattern emerged with adding pollinator plants next time the changes are made to the landscape, with the exception of purple coneflower and wildflower prairie, as slightly more residents agreed to add them at some point, but not within a year. The final steps of my thesis research are to assess whether willingness to convert to these pollinator beneficial plants is associated with parcel size and/or income. Create typologies of residents based solely on socioeconomic characteristics and solely based on lifestyle, and examine if lifestyle or socioeconomic characteristics are better predictors of willingness to plant. Thank you for listening to my thesis presentation. If you have further questions, please feel free to contact me at the email address on this credit slide.